Notre-Dame de Paris, a treasured icon of Gothic architecture and medieval construction.
The feat of engineering in those days, just extraordinary.
It's one of the most important monuments in France.
But on the 15th of April 2019, disaster strikes. A huge fire rips through the cathedral, reducing the roof and spire to ashes. For the last 3 years, our cameras have been following teams of master craftspeople and engineers as they battle to bring Notre-Dame back to life. Wow. This is amazing. I've been given an astonishing opportunity to visit the work site here at Notre-Dame. And this is such a critical time for the team. They've met the challenge of making the structure secure, and now they're moving on towards rebuilding it. Hundreds of workers here are locked in an ambitious race to restore this medieval masterpiece in time for a grand reopening ahead of the Paris Olympics in 2024.
Ooh, what have you got here?
As we track their progress, we'll also meet the historians and scientists working to solve Notre-Dame's architectural mysteries. Have you seen this before?
No, never.
It's a kind of walking backwards in time.
What's this lady doing? Is she riding upon a dragon?
They're revealing ancient technology, hidden for nearly 800 years.
We're dealing with unknown structures that are so far unique in Gothic architecture.
And struggling to save the fragile fabric of the building.
The loss of material is catastrophic for us.
3 years into this extraordinary 5-year restoration project, this is the next chapter in the race to save Notre-Dame Cathedral. Paris, a city of churches, basilicas, and almost 2,000 historic monuments. On the 15th of April 2019, one of the city's most famous buildings, the 850-year-old Notre-Dame de Paris, was undergoing a £5 million restoration of its spire. A fire broke out inside the oak framework of the roof. After 90 minutes, the 360-ton timber and lead spire gave way and crashed through the stone vaulting, causing catastrophic damage.
It's only thanks to the bravery of the firefighters that night that anything of the cathedral survives at all. And for weeks and for months after that, its future still hung in the balance.
The roof and spire are completely gone, and there are 3 gaping holes in the vaulting. Teams of engineers raced to install supports to shore up the fragile structure. But the cathedral remained open to the elements. Rainwater saturated the vaults, adding weight to the weakened stonework and increasing the chance of a total collapse. Before they could make the structure watertight, they had to remove 40,000 burnt and melted scaffolding poles left over from the spire restoration. Now, they've built a temporary sliding roof. It's called the Big Umbrella, to keep the stonework dry. The cathedral looks very different today than it did when I first visited. I'm historian Lucy Worsley, Chief Curator at Historic Royal Palaces.
I first came here, age 16, French exchange trip. Here's a picture. Oh, so young. And I remember going through the doors of Notre-Dame for the very first time. It was breathtaking. It was one of the formative moments that set me on my course to wanting to spend my working life with historic buildings. That's why, for me, like for so many other people, the night of the 15th of April 2019 was such a horrible shock.
We still don't know how the fire started, but 3 years on, the ambitious project to restore the cathedral is being ramped up. In recent months, the team here has almost quadrupled. Bringing together ancient techniques and modern engineering, 200 workers are now battling to bring Notre-Dame back to life.
Bonsoir.
5 sur 5.
Ok, vas-y, c'est parti. On peut y aller.
The first time I came here after the fire, it was devastating. There was a real sense of tragic loss. But now, things are changing. It's like a new chapter's beginning. The cathedral looks clean. I can see many, many people working away inside. It's like the wounded old lady is learning to walk again.
The French state has ruled that Notre-Dame will be rebuilt exactly as it was before the fire. Donors have contributed £700 million towards this effort, but the task ahead is enormous. The team must remove tons of toxic lead dust left over from the fire. Then clean and restore the fragile stained glass windows. To reconstruct the roof identically, they must first fill the three gaping holes in the stone vaulting and rebuild the timber framework from almost 1,000 oak beams. Then cover it with 3,000 square meters of lead sheeting before they can raise the 65-meter-high iconic spire. Finally, to make Notre-Dame whole again. Beyond rebuilding identically, for conservationists, restoration is all about preserving the story of a monument.
Old buildings matter to us because they embody not just our history, but also our future. So there could be an argument in conservation that if you're conserving a building, you don't need it to be like the original. You know, the story of the building can best be told by showing where the differences are, how the building has changed and responded all across the centuries.
The challenge for the team right now is to clear up tons of toxic lead dust. As the lead on the roof melted and the spire collapsed, it was sucked inside the cathedral.
I've worn lots of different costumes, outfits for telly over the years. Never quite one like this before.
Workers must put on full protective clothing
Okay.
to pass into the dirty zone.
The way onto the site is actually through the shower. This is the clean zone, and through there, it's the dirty zone. When you come out, you come through the shower too, because everything has to be washed. All your equipment, all your clothes, and obviously, yourself.
It's then just a short walk into the cathedral itself.
This is amazing. I have never seen this much scaffolding. Goodness me. There's an army of people marching about doing things. It's freezing, it's really cold, and it's dark, and there's banging, and it's a bit like hell, actually. This is quite the opposite of what a church is normally like. There's a lift going up into the nave. My goodness, a lift made out of scaffolding. Ah, bonjour, Jonathan.
Bonjour.
Hello.
Hello.
Deputy Director of Operations, Jonathan Thuillier, coordinates the work to bring Notre-Dame back from the brink.
Jonathan, there's a huge amount of scaffolding in the cathedral. What does it allow your team to do?
Effectivement, l'échafaudage est assez impressionnant. Plus de 1200 tonnes de structures métalliques ont été installées dans toutes les parties de la cathédrale. Ces échafaudages vont nous aider à accéder au plus près des murs, au plus près des décors, des chapiteaux, pour pouvoir les nettoyer.
The scaffolding not only allows access to clean up the toxic lead dust, but also plays another critical role. Before the fire, the vaulting, made from hundreds of cubic meters of limestone, supported the massive timber and lead roof above. But now the vaulting is extremely fragile. As the team begins to repair the stonework, it could trigger a collapse. To avoid this, one of their first tasks is to erect 52 timber support arches beneath the vaulting so that they can rebuild safely. Installing them 33 meters above the ground is no easy feat.
Well, can we take a closer look?
Bien sûr, allons-y.
Thank you.
The scaffolding enables the team to build a temporary floor so they can install the timber supports. The crane must lower each 1.5-ton support arch down through the hole in the vaulting.
On aime bien les choses qui sont lourdes et grosses. C'est sûr, il faut faire attention, c'est lourd, ça prend de la place. C'est là qu'il faut être hyper vigilant à pas ni taper l'échafaudage, ni taper la voûte. Et l'enjeu, c'est de tout rentrer à l'intérieur sans rien abîmer, sans mettre la sécurité des gens en péril ou des choses comme ça, quoi. Donc il faut être très très vigilant.
Each support arch is fitted with steel brackets to secure it in place. Hydraulic jacks raise it to meet the underside of the vaulting.
Chaque cintre est unique et chaque cintre aura vraiment son emplacement. Il n'y aura pas ailleurs.
With the temporary supports in position, it's safe for me to take the lift to the top floor.
Ah, that was a mistake to look down. Oh, look, here's the window. We're at the level of the windows. Wow, this is not normally how you get to experience a cathedral. This glass is so rich, so intense. Oh.
Bonjour.
We're now as high as the lift can take us, close to the underside of the shored-up vaulting.
Oh, wow. This is incredible. It's like being in a timber barn.
This same technique was used to build the vaults 850 years ago. The scaffolding and supports will stay in place until the vaulting roof and spire are rebuilt.
The scale of the support work is just astronomical. It's incredible. I notice there's quite a lot of fire extinguishers up here.
C'est vraiment une préoccupation majeure puisqu'on sait que les incendies dans les monuments historiques se déclenchent souvent pendant les chantiers. Et c'est vrai qu'on a rajouté beaucoup de bois, donc de matière inflammable. Et on va en rajouter au moment de la reconstruction des charpentes. Donc on est extrêmement vigilant pour pouvoir régler et arrêter tout de suite un départ de feu si jamais il arrivait.
Now these gigantic timber supports are in place underneath the arches, the cathedral is structurally safe. It's definitely not going to fall down, which means that the people working here can move on to restoring and rebuilding. You can hear them hard at it as I speak. And this is going to be a real race against time, because they want to reopen the cathedral by 2024.
All eyes will be on Paris when the Olympic Games are held here in 2024. President Macron has decreed that the landmark must be rebuilt within 5 years, in time for a grand reopening before the Games begin. But with the cathedral's vaults, roof and spire to rebuild, and the entire site still contaminated by lead dust from the fire, the task seems near impossible.
C'est un objectif ambitieux, mais qui répond, je crois, à l'attente des Français, et pas seulement des Français, qui ont été choqués, traumatisés par cet incendie, et qui veulent retrouver leur cathédrale.
To make the site safe, the team must remove all the toxic lead dust. Clara is one of 40 decontamination specialists meticulously cleaning all 6,000 square meters of Notre-Dame's vaulting, walls, pillars, and floors.
So this is to keep you safe. It cleans the air. Yeah. And where does all the lead dust that you've collected go?
It goes there, my vacuum.
Oh, into the backpack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With this equipment, we only work 2 hours and a half at a time, and we need to stop to take a break.
How long will it take to clean the whole cathedral?
There are different phases of cleaning.
Yeah.
Now we're in the first one.
Only the first phase. More cleaning to come.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's only
my
the
goodness.
beginning.
The vacuuming of the lead dust will take 8 months. Then the restorers can move on to deep clean the stone.
My dream was to come here and work here. It's an opportunity. You never expect to be working in one of the most important monuments in France. So
Your dream has come true.
yeah.
I think you deserve a cup of coffee now.
Well, I've already had 3 cups of coffee today.
Go enjoy your break. You deserve it.
Yeah.
Ah. You know, it's obviously tragic that the cathedral burned, but I hadn't really thought about this. It's given opportunities to young people to learn new skills like flower. But wearing a vacuum cleaner on your back for 2, 4, 6 hours a day, sucking up poisonous lead, whew, that's tough work.
In places, you catch a glimpse of how dramatically changed Notre-Dame will be after the cleaning. Beneath the lead and centuries of smoke from millions of candles lies pristine limestone. This is how the cathedral looked 850 years ago and will again soon.
Voilà, les étapes en fait.
Première
on a
étape,
les
deuxième étape.
Salle, intermédiaire et finale.
Voilà.
Ça c'est génial.
As the cleaning progresses, craftspeople and technicians, from mural specialists and glass historians to metal scientists and carpenters, get to work. These are France's foremost experts in their fields. In charge of guiding this unprecedented concentration of medieval knowledge are chief architects Pascal Prunet and Philippe Villeneuve.
Oh, bonjour, ma Katharina.
Bonjour messieurs.
Voilà, donc on va voir les compagnons qui travaillent sur le nettoyage.
La pierre change de couleur, ça c'est le principal. On est très satisfait de ça, mais on sait que ça c'est que la première étape de ce nettoyage.
Et après, on va pouvoir travailler alors, c'est l'objectif.
Et quand on voit ces voûtes là, dans leur état actuel, et quand on voit ce qu'on a fait, on se dit que cette cathédrale va être extraordinaire. Donc tout ça, ça stimule énormément.
But this team will need to pull out all the stops if they want to reopen the cathedral in 2024.
C'est des délais complètement fous, mais malgré tout, on continue de travailler pour que le délai soit tenu.
In April 2019, this was the heart of the inferno. This is where the spire fell down into the nave. It's only when you get up here that you appreciate the scale of what happened. And to rebuild that spire, my goodness, they're going to need a tremendous amount of wood.
Above the stone vaulting, Notre-Dame's roof was completely destroyed by the fire. One of the most complex challenges the team here now face is entirely to rebuild the 1,000-ton roof structure. Rémi Froment is the chief architect tasked with reconstructing the medieval roof, which is known as the forest.
Et on va participer à la reconstruction de cet ouvrage absolument emblématique, absolument unique, absolument magnifique et absolument iconique. Voilà. Et donc c'est très exaltant. C'était une des premières grandes charpentes gothiques, extrêmement bien conçue et extrêmement en avance sur son temps d'un point de vue technique.
During a research project in 2014, Rémi manually measured the dimensions of every beam in the forest to create a comprehensive survey of Notre-Dame's roof. This allows them to replicate it perfectly.
On allait refaire à l'identique, pas parce que c'est sympa de construire comme au XIIIe siècle, c'est vraiment parce qu'on en a besoin techniquement pour pouvoir avoir un ouvrage qui tienne de la même manière. Si on fait différemment, l'ouvrage va se compenser différemment.
Remy's team will need 850 oaks to reproduce the Gothic roof trusses. The most intricate element, the cathedral's iconic spire, will be built from another 1,200 trees.
La flèche, c'est un travail énorme pour la comprendre et pour la restituer. C'est assez vertigineux de se dire qu'on est en train de construire un ouvrage en bois de 65 mètres de haut, perché à 35 mètres du sol, sur des maçonneries du XIIIe siècle qui ont subi un incendie. On ne fait pas dans la facilité, vraiment pas.
The spire was a 360-ton engineering masterpiece, hidden beneath 16 copper statues and 140 tons of lead sheeting, was a complex skeleton of oak beams, some as long as 20 meters. The secret of its strength, a dense lattice of oak tied into the rest of the roof, supports the entire structure.
The spire came to be the embodiment of the building and of the Paris skyline, which took huge imagination and levels of engineering and creativity and architecture, which is quite exceptional.
Identically reconstructing this wooden wonder is no simple task.
Les bois qui ont été employés ont été mis en œuvre verts, c'est-à-dire qu'ils n'étaient pas secs. Donc on utilise du bois vert.
The market town of Chesterfield bears witness to the perils of building with green timber. Its fort, the 660-year-old crooked spire of the parish church, could be due to beams that have warped as they've dried. For Notre-Dame's spire, this precarious lean must be avoided at all costs.
On a besoin de bois de première qualité, parfaitement droit de fil, pour éviter ce genre de problème. Le fait de travailler avec du bois vert oblige à un choix extrêmement rigoureux des bois.
In public and private forests across France, the hunt for 2,000 perfect oaks for Notre-Dame begins. These will form part of France's annual forest management quota. 1/3 of the country, 65,000 square miles, is covered by forest.
Allons choisir les bois.
This team of forestiers has their work cut out. They must source 60 flawless oaks for the spire from this 8,000-acre forest.
Il y a une blessure à 6 mètres là, donc celui-là on ne va pas pouvoir le choisir. Il ne correspondra pas au cahier des charges qui a été donné pour la flèche de Notre-Dame de Paris. Donc allons choisir un autre. Allons-y.
On the other side of the clearing, another candidate emerges, but it must be wide enough and tall enough to form a spire beam.
On est sur un arbre qui fait 60 cm de diamètre.
Et au niveau de l'abattage, aucun problème.
Lumberjack Ahmet Sirpan begins by making a cut that will direct the tree to fall into the clearing.
L'arbre va y aller entre les deux arbres, là ici, dans cette direction. Je ne coupe pas avec ma tronçonneuse au hasard. Là c'est bon, on peut commencer à l'abattage. Ah ouais, ça c'est pour ça, c'est interdit de rentrer dans les parcelles.
Notre-Dame's medieval carpenters etched Roman numerals on their beams to reassemble them correctly up on the roof. Today, this team attaches a barcode to each oak destined for the cathedral, so they can track it from the forest to its final position in the new spire.
Quand j'irai voir après la reconstruction de Notre-Dame, je saurai quel arbre m'appartient, quel arbre que j'ai coupé. Et ça va me faire très plaisir de voir ça. Donc on attend ces moments-là avec impatience.
It takes the forestiers several months to complete their painstaking search to fill their quota of 60 trees for the new spire.
On va restaurer et reconstruire les parties disparues. Et ça, c'est quelque chose qui est unique en fait dans une carrière. On va le faire le mieux possible avec tout notre cœur, avec toute notre passion et surtout avec tout notre savoir-faire.
Notre-Dame's builders did not only innovate with timber, they also pushed the limits of what could be made with glass. More than 3,000 square meters of spectacular stained glass circle the cathedral in 3 levels.
One of the things I really remember about coming to Notre-Dame for the first time was the otherworldly light from all the stained glass. Today, most of the natural light's been blocked out of the cathedral by this huge scaffolding structure.
But there's a silver lining. The scaffolding gives experts the chance to get up close to Notre-Dame's astonishing rose windows. This is the first time it's been possible in 160 years.
It is a very unique opportunity because we won't see them again in the same way, never. When you're so close from the panels, you have a kind of intimacy with the work of art, and even you can see sometimes the mistakes of the medieval painters.
The 3 rose windows date from the 12th and 13th centuries, and together they're made up of 1,100 panels. Protected by the stone vaulting, they survived the fire unscathed. These kaleidoscopic wonders are filled with depictions of ancient legends, biblical scenes, and saints performing incredible feats. The panels have been restored multiple times over 800 years as they've been damaged. Like time capsules, they contain messages passed down across the ages. They also hold many unsolved mysteries. Glass historians Karine Boulanger and Elizabeth Pillet hope this access will help them reveal the secrets of the largest window in Notre-Dame, the gigantic South Rose window, measuring 13 meters in diameter. They're busy mapping every shard of glass.
Karine, what's this lady doing? Is she riding upon a dragon?
It's Margaret. She's tamed the dragon.
She's tamed
Yes.
the dragon. Oh, I can see she's telling it, down, dragon, down.
Yes.
Oh, it's fabulous. I love it. And you can tell me how old this window is, can't you? This is your superpower.
Yes, in a way. It's 13th century glass, but there are some restorations, of course. You see, the color of the glass is different.
So I'm guessing that bit there,
Yes.
that looks like it's quite dark. And
Yes.
Is that medieval?
Yes, it is.
All the red is medieval.
Yes, but if you look at this red here, you see how different it is.
Oh, so that's not medieval. That
No, it's 19th century. You see, this one is more translucent.
It's like a jigsaw puzzle.
Exactly.
It's not only the subtle differences in colour. The style of painting on the stained glass changed over time. Medieval glass painters applied a solution of copper and iron oxides to the coloured glass before it was baked to harden the paint.
The style evolves. A 13th century painter won't paint the same way as a 15th century painter, obviously. At the same time for the 19th century.
What causes the medieval glass to go cloudy like that?
It's linked to the composition of the glass itself. In order to make glass, in 13th century you use potash.
Yes.
And it causes corrosion.
That's potash over 8 centuries corrodes
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
It's like a time-limited artwork, isn't it?
Yes.
Potash, a potassium-rich blend of plant ashes, reduced the melting point of the ingredients used to make glass. By the 19th century, sodium carbonate combined with calcium oxide were used instead, and produced more stable glass that didn't corrode. This factory on the banks of the Loire in southern France is one of the last places in the world that can produce stained glass using medieval techniques.
We produce glass for major historical buildings as Versailles or the White House.
Workers start by mixing sand, metal oxide for colour, sodium carbonate, and calcium. They heat the mixture to 1,300 degrees Celsius and build up layers of the molten glass on the end of a blowing pipe. The glass blower forms a sphere from the red-hot mass. He rolls it to maintain this shape, which is critical to form an even thickness of glass.
It's a manual know-how. There is absolutely no machines, and the glass blowers use their sense, their feeling to blow one glass sheet.
Le verre est une matière vivante, ça met longtemps à prendre. Au bout des doigts, on ressent la matière.
The team enlist the help of gravity. They swing the 7-kilo ball of glass in a 4-meter deep pit, so it elongates to form a tube.
C'est un métier où il y a du poids, il y a de la chaleur, il faut être résistant, il faut être costaud, donc c'est quand même un travail très, très pénible.
Hervé has blown glass here for more than 33 years.
Nous, c'est d'arriver à avoir toujours la bonne longueur, le bon diamètre et les épaisseurs du verre aussi. Et le plus dur, c'est d'arriver à avoir ces trois éléments-là pour avoir une feuille le plus parfaite et le plus exploitable possible.
Once cooled, they cut the cylinder and send it to a special furnace where it's unrolled. Extreme heat of 750 degrees Celsius and a wooden block smooth out the glass and minimize imperfections.
Le but, c'est d'essayer d'arriver à être vraiment une épaisseur très linéaire et d'arriver vraiment à la feuille parfaite.
They carefully inspect each pane and remove any rough edges.
Every glass sheet is different and has the spirit of the glass blower. Losing this patrimoine and know-how would be a disaster.
The factory marries these ancient techniques with the latest technology to reproduce stained glass accurately.
We can fit perfectly with the old colors by using tools like spectral photometry, like X-rays, and this allows us to know exactly what are the elements that are in the glass and reproduce it for the future.
By analyzing samples of ancient glass to learn the chemical composition, they can match its unique combination of metal oxides.
Là, on va arriver à la restauration de la cathédrale Notre-Dame de Paris, qui va être quand même un point d'orgue dans ma carrière. Enfin, ça fait un joli CV, quoi.
This team is ready with the skills, passed down through the centuries, to reproduce any of Notre-Dame's stained glass that may be beyond repair.
Until the 20th century, when a glass was too badly damaged, we had to replace it. There are restorations every 50 years or 100 years. So a stained glass window is always a mixture of original glass, here 13th century glass, and restoration from every century almost.
As the historians map the South Rose window, they uncover an unusual trend. This window should contain glass from many restorations spanning almost 800 years. But they're finding only original 13th century glass installed during the 19th century, or panels containing both. Where has all the other glass gone?
We are finding lots of things. They altered quite strongly the design of the panels. The roses has been extensively restored, and we have to study them again to understand what has been done.
Karine and Elizabeth must work fast while they still have this unprecedented access to the South Rose window. They will continue their investigations to try to solve this mystery. Just above the South Rose window, is one of 3 holes in the vaulting created as the spire collapsed. Incredibly, the top section of the spire survived the inferno. Its slender pinnacle is lodged in the vaulting stone. The team gently nudges this spire section free and carefully winches it down.
We can still see the structure of how the spire was made with these fine lead sheets of a few millimeters thick that were used on the entire structure of the spire.
6 decorative lead roses remain attached to the spire's lead sheeting.
We will be able to study how this decoration was made, touching the spire that was just taken down from the vaults today. It's a magical moment.
The fire has given scientists and historians an opportunity to look deep into the fabric of the structure. Notre-Dame pushed the limits of Gothic architecture. Advances in stone construction techniques, such as the introduction of flying buttresses, allowed medieval masons to build incredibly tall and thin. As the team examines the structure closely, they discover metal hidden throughout the cathedral that could unlock more of its architectural mysteries. From the thousands of nails that joined timber beams, to iron bars that brace and hold secure the stunning medieval stained glass.
I was amazed that there's so many iron in this building that was never truly studied before. The staples that we see here, they're embedded in maybe the oldest part of Notre-Dame's masonry.
These 45-centimetre long iron staples secure the great arches beneath and prevent the stone blocks from being pulled apart by the enormous forces. 20 metres above, along the very top of Notre-Dame's walls, the destruction of the roof has revealed previously concealed ironwork that may hold the secret to this cathedral's gravity-defying height.
It's really exciting because we're dealing with unknown structures on the top of the walls that are so far unique in Gothic architecture.
Medieval builders may have been worried that the top of Notre-Dame's tall, slender walls could be an Achilles heel. The weight of the roof could push the stones apart. The destruction of the roof has revealed the builders tied these stones together with more than 500 staples, creating a ring of iron holding the walls together. This engineering masterstroke has remained hidden under the roof of Notre-Dame for hundreds of years.
The staples with the flying buttresses are 2 ways of preventing the stones to collapse. It's an ancient form, a form which is known since antiquity, but it looks like in Notre-Dame we're trying to use ancient forms of reinforcement, such as the staple, in order to build a new form of architecture, really high, really thin Gothic structures, of which Notre-Dame is kind of the first true example.
Maxime uses pioneering technology to unlock the secrets of the iron staples.
Like we're acting as some kind of detectives, trying to find out the digital prints, the digital signature of each of the staples, and try to rebuild their path from the workshop to the building site.
Radiocarbon dating confirms they were installed in the early 13th century, when this part of the cathedral was built.
These are the oldest pieces of iron used in a Gothic church that we know of so far. That's a huge discovery. This is revolution in Gothic architecture. No other Gothic monument had used iron in such a way before Notre-Dame.
Maxime reveals the microstructure of the iron. Multiple pieces of iron have been forged together to form each staple.
the weld is the result of the mixing of scrap iron to make a brand new iron staple. We're maybe dealing with the richest building site at that time, and knowing that it might have used almost 90% recycled iron opens new perspective.
The team has shown that the recycling of iron may have been commonplace on the building site of Notre-Dame, shedding new light on medieval building practices. The lab's electron microscope reveals further clues to how far Notre-Dame's builders went to source the iron.
What we discovered is that every single staple has a different chemical signature. All these staples, they come from different iron that was made in different places. It means that there's a truly active iron market in Paris, gathering iron from many, many different origins.
These hidden iron staples may also have played a critical role in the aftermath of the fire of April 2019.
The staples were placed by the medieval master mason to reinforce the upper main walls. They might have helped the walls to prevent collapsing during the fire.
To create the most advanced church of its time, builders of Notre-Dame turned to an ancient construction technique, only now fully understood in the wake of the fire.
As a conservationist, it's teaching us how expert these builders were in those days. It's a testament to their technical competence and their vision that they put in these structural elements which have preserved the building for us.
Their knowledge might have kept the cathedral standing. But the damage to the vaulting wreaked by the fire is shocking to see.
For the restoration of Notre-Dame, it might just be the stone of the vaults that's the biggest problem. The thing is, it got soaked with water, firstly from the firefighting, and then because the roof was missing for months and the rain came in. They've got a temporary roof up now, and it's starting to dry out. But even that has presented an unforeseen problem.
As the stones dry, salts are crystallizing on the underside of the vaulting, and they're breaking off the outer layers of limestone.
All the damage in this part and on the vault is the result of the salt. You can see the loss of material is 2 or 3 centimeters. It is catastrophic for us.
In the 18th and 19th centuries, restorers cast sacrificial layers of plaster on top of the vaulting in case of a fire. This protected the stonework from the heat of the 2019 inferno, but not from the water used to fight it. This, along with months of rainwater, drew salt from the plaster into the porous limestone. As the moisture evaporates, the salt crystallizes and forces the limestone apart, destroying the inner surface of the vaulting.
To find a solution, you have to remove the salt.
Remove the salt.
And as the salts are soluble salts, you will have to use water.
Use water.
And some other tricks.
To extract the salt, the team will coat the vaulting with a paste of clay, sand, and purified water called a poultice. The water from the poultice is drawn into the stone, where it dissolves the harmful salt crystals. As the clay of the poultice dries, it draws the salty water out of the stone, saving the vaulting from further damage.
The poultices will be removed when they will all have dried.
Workers chisel away the mortar between the stones to allow the poultice to reach deep into the blocks. Next, they load the sticky mixture into a compressed air gun and spray it into every crevice. Finally, they carefully smooth the poultice across the face of the vaulting stone.
And you can see that it follows very, very closely the surface of the stone. And what we recommend is that bolts should not be thicker than 0.5 centimeter to 1 centimeter. Otherwise, there are risks that it falls down.
So do you have enough time? You have to open the cathedral. Can you have it there as long as you need to?
If you wish all the salts to be extracted, we need to have a very slow process until the vaults are dry. And this would take time, much time. So we have to get the cathedral ready in 2024. I understand those time constraints because it's a worldwide known symbol, and this building has to live again.
The poultice may stay in place until the missing vaulting has been rebuilt and the cathedral is permanently watertight. It's the end of another long day on site. Notre-Dame falls silent once again.
Well, this is quite a remarkable experience because I've got the deserted cathedral to myself. It's extraordinary. And just over there, I can still see the remains of a burned beam, which is a reminder that amidst all the activity that goes on in the daytime, this is where the fire actually started. This is where nature was out of control.
The medieval timber roof, known as the forest, was built section by section over almost 100 years as the cathedral grew beneath. Hand axes were used to craft each individual beam for a specific position in the roof structure. The fire, which started in the forest, took just hours to reduce this medieval masterpiece to ashes. The team will soon begin an unprecedented challenge to rebuild the forest in a matter of months.
Donc en fait, on va vraiment réutiliser les techniques extrêmement similaires que ce qui avait été employé parce que c'est nécessaire techniquement. Et que si on ne fait pas ça techniquement, le bois va se comporter différemment.
Notre-Dame's spire is relatively modern, built in the 19th century. These beams were cut with saws. So it's down to the French sawmills to transform 1,200 of the oaks into flawless beams with the precise dimensions needed for the new spire.
On a des règles extrêmement rigoureuses qui sont les plus élevées en fait qu'on puisse avoir en charpente parce que Notre-Dame c'est absolument exceptionnel en termes de qualité de bois.
François Fayet runs this sawmill in Normandy that processes more than 30,000 tons of timber each year. It's one of 45 sawmills across France that has answered the call to cut the beams for Notre-Dame's new roof.
Pour nous, c'est une preuve de notre dynamisme et que la forêt française était largement capable de contribuer à refaire cet édifice qui, quelque part, est un des joyaux de la France. Je le fais sous forme de mécénat. On le fait gratuitement, quoi.
The team wastes no time in getting to work on the beams. First stop, the debarker. This machine excoriates the outer layers, removing the loose bark. Now the 3-ton tree trunk enters the cutting shed and rolls onto the saw carriage.
Sur ce joystick, nous avons des boutons qui permettent de faire des opérations ou de chargement de grumes ou ce qu'on appelle de dégagement slabber. Le slabber, c'est la première machine qui est avant la lame et qui permet de réduire en copeaux alors ce que l'on appelle communément la dose.
The bandsaw blade is a 1,000-pound, high-speed ribbon of steel that runs at 43 meters per second. This is a laser-guided precision operation.
Le laser vert représente la lame et le laser rouge représente 30 mm, c'est-à-dire la cote qu'on a toujours entre notre slabber et notre lame de scie.
François removes slices just 3 centimeters thick to trim the beam down to the exact dimensions requested by the Notre-Dame architects.
Ce qui m'amuse beaucoup, c'est la découverte du bois. Chaque arbre est différent, chaque arbre est unique. Finalement, c'est un jeu de réflexion sur chaque arbre. C'est pas quelque chose de récurrent, c'est à chaque fois quelque chose de nouveau.
The beams from Francois' sawmill are stacked, ready to join more than 1,000 others, coming from across France for Notre-Dame's new spire.
Un moment historique, oui, parce qu'un chantier comme celui-ci, on n'en réalisera pas deux dans notre vie. On restera quelque part dans l'histoire du fait d'avoir contribué modestement, comme tous les compagnons qui travailleront sur la Notre-Dame, à restaurer cette cathédrale, notre cathédrale, simplement.
Inside Notre-Dame, the first chance in 160 years to get up close to the vast south rose window has revealed a puzzle the glass historians need to solve.
We should be finding glass from all different periods. We know the window's been restored lots of times. But the glass all seems to be either original 13th century glass or relatively modern 19th century glass. Where's the rest of it gone? It's a bit of a mystery.
The chief suspect is architect Viollet-le-Duc. In the 1840s, he was tasked with breathing new life into Notre-Dame. At the time, it was not the beloved building we know today. The cathedral was ransacked during the French Revolution. Statues of kings on the facade were decapitated, and it was used as a warehouse, lying derelict and unloved for decades. Over 20 years, Le Duc reinstated the statues of the facade. He rebuilt the sacristy. He designed hundreds of new gargoyles, and he raised the ill-fated 65-meter tall spire, a replica of the medieval original.
Viollet-le-Duc, God bless him, would have been what we consider to be a starchitect. You know, he was a man who knew his mind. He was a man who was highly respected, really determined, and saw himself as a powerful leader.
During his restoration, Le Duc removed all glass in the south rose window that was not original and replaced it with modern glass. Elizabeth is also finding that he made brutal changes to some of the original glass panels.
What do you observe in this one, Elizabeth?
On dirait qu'il a été coupé. Vous voyez, il manque l'auréole ici. Et même plus bas, là, ici, vous voyez, son manteau n'est pas fini. Il a été coupé aussi en bas. Ici,
He's lost his toes. He's lost his toes. And part of his dress. And he's lost his aureole, his halo.
Absolument. C'est peut-être un changement de place. Il était à un autre endroit et il a été mis ici et diminué pour être adapté à cet endroit.
I've come to the Paris Médiathèque of Architecture and Heritage. These archives may hold clues to why Le Duc made such dramatic changes to the glass in the south rose window.
Ooh, what have you got here? Oh, wow. C'est les dessins. Oh, the spire. The spire. Have you seen this before?
No, never.
So I guess your colleagues, the architects, will be looking closely at this to get clues for how it should be. Oh, look. Is this Monsieur Le Duc?
No, I don't think so.
No? I think it's Monsieur Le Duc. He's put himself in the drawing.
The windows of the tribune and the higher windows.
Look, look, look. It's the famous...
Gargoyles.
It's the famous gargoyles. Here they are. Gargling. What creature do you think that is?
The gargoyles not only frighten away evil demons, they also protect Notre-Dame's walls by directing rainwater away from the cathedral.
That folder is a complete treasure trove. It's full of these really beautiful drawings by Viollet-le-Duc, showing his plans for Notre-Dame. And it's such a treat to see them, not only because they're beautiful, but because this folder contains such important information about France's idea of itself that's captured in Notre-Dame Cathedral.
But it's Le Duc's plans for the south rose window that may hold the key to unravelling its mysteries.
All this part here was destroyed in the 19th century.
Yes.
They threw it away.
Viollet-le-Duc recognized that it was an original medieval design, but for him, maybe it wasn't the ideal 13th century rose. That's why he changed the design.
So he looked at a medieval window and he thought, no, that's not medieval enough.
Yes, in his point of view, yes, I think it was that.
But such radical changes to the glass panels suggest Leduc was motivated by more than mere aesthetics. After hours of research, the team makes a stunning breakthrough. It sounds like you're coming across completely new information. Is that fair?
In fact, we just discovered that there was a change of structure of the rose. There was an iron reinforcement in the center of the rose, but obviously it wasn't enough, so Viollet-le-Duc put it further away from the center. When you removed the ironwork here, it had to change the form of the panels.
Leduc's vision for a more medieval South Rose, combined with the need to beef up the iron reinforcement, required him to change the glass. But the historians find evidence he actually altered the entire stone structure of the window. It's like two different windows.
Viollet-le-Duc, il a donné vraiment un autre dessin.
In fact, he slightly turned the rose.
So it's gone like this, and he's sort of gone, Why did he do that? That's a big change, isn't it? Leduc's restoration was sweeping. He removed a smaller structural ring of iron and replaced it with a bigger ring to strengthen the core of the window. He removed all trace of previous restorations to replace them with panels of new glass. And he turned the whole window through 15 degrees to make it structurally stronger. These two drawings in the archive have been revelatory for me because they've helped me understand why Viollet-le-Duc may have messed with the structure of the window. This showed what it was like before, and you see this vertical axis. Here we've got panes of glass. That's not structurally very safe. But after, in this drawing, he's put in a big, strong stone arm that's going to hold the whole thing together. I mean, he wasn't just doing things for aesthetic reasons. He was also helping Notre-Dame to withstand the centuries. Thanks to the scaffolding, this team is painting an intimate portrait of how the South Rose window, one of the wonders of this cathedral, evolved to survive.
It's been such a privilege to spend time in this wounded but wonderful cathedral. And it's clear how utterly dedicated the architects, the restorers, the scientists are who've been tasked with bringing it back to life. I'll be amazed if they do make their deadline of 2024. But you know what? There's no shortage of ambition here.
This experience marks another chapter in my relationship with Notre-Dame. A building that has inspired me and countless others. I've seen the vaulting secured, the interior cleaned of toxic lead dust, and the mysteries of its windows solved. Next time, I'll be back to witness the rebuilding of the vaulting, the new roof, and the spire under construction. And maybe, just maybe, the reopening of this astonishing building to the world once more.